Hey, what's going on? You know who it is? It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotels. And today I got Dr. Lorie Tuma, Professor Lorie is in the house. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Bruce. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Listen, a lot of people really don't know your background. Like, they don't know how you got started in hospitality. So, my number one question is, how did you get started?
Yeah, I was just talking about this yesterday, which makes me feel really old, but I I was a graduate from high school that just didn't want to go to college and tried to do just everything I could possibly do to avoid college. And I ended up being recruited by Pan Am to be a flight attendant.
Okay.
That was really fun. Was based out of John F. Kennedy Airport in New York for several years and flew around the world. Had an awesome time. And then and then I returned to Michigan, and a few years later, I bought a travel agency. It was just a real small mom and pops agency at the time. I think, gosh, we were doing maybe $750,000 in gross sales. A little bit of air, well, most of it was air at that time because the commissions were good,
Hmm.
and a little bit of tour and not much cruise. And over the next 6 years, I just built the agency up. We got capped by the airlines and commissions, had to implement a fee structure and shift a lot of our focus over into like cruises and tours and packages. And then we got to a point where I just felt like we really needed to take the next step, and we transitioned into a franchise. I joined Carlson Boggling Travel. That changed everything. Changed everything. I sold the agency 6 years later, and at the time we went from 750K to 2.5 million. So
Nice.
profit margins really increased too. I think when I bought it, our profit margins were right around 8, and when I sold it, they were around 26, 27. So yeah, it did really well. And then after I sold it, I ended up selling it to one of the, if not the largest privately owned chain of travel agencies in the state of Michigan. He asked me to stay on and train, and I did. And I thought, wow, I really like this training. Went back to school, and for the next 11 years, I just did nothing but go to school full time, work full time, and earned 4 college degrees and ended up teaching. It's been an amazing ride.
Wow, 4 college degrees. That's incredible. That's a
Thank
lot of
you.
studying.
A lot of studying.
One of the things I want to talk about is like the tricks of the trade when it comes to like the hotel and travel agency relationship. Like what are some of the things that travel agents do to help out hotels to bring in more business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably one of the most important things is steering the client toward the product. A lot of times clients will come in and they have no idea where to stay, and they really, if they have a good relationship with the travel agent, they'll trust that agent. And if the agent has a good knowledge of the property or the brand, or has a very good relationship with the brand ambassador, uh, they'll book the client there with confidence. And I think that relationship is really, really important. I think it's not to be underestimated.
One of the things that I used to always wonder was the commission side of things because, just like everybody else, hotels have margins, And what are some of the things that, hotels can do to protect those margins? Because I know you have your local travel agency and then you have some of the bigger guys who are like double, like their commission is double. So
Yeah.
what are some of the things that hotels can do to make sure they're not always overpaying or at least, overpaying one of the bigger guys?
Well, and that's a really reasonable question because, with OTAs, sometimes your commission structures can be as high as 30%.
Yeah.
With a travel agency, it's traditionally and historically hovered right around 10%. So I think you know it's a, it's a catch 22 because you want your hotel to be you want it to have an online presence.
Hmm.
You want to utilize the OTA. You want to have a relationship with them as well. But I think some of the strategies that a hotel could use that would really help a little bit is maybe pull back some of that inventory and reserve it for direct booking for clients directly and for travel agencies. One of the things that I loved most when I transitioned over to Carlson Boggling Travel, they had in place a preferred supplier program. Whereas if we had clients, either leisure or corporate on the road, and they were in a jam and they could not find a room to book, we had last minute availability. We had last room availability in some of our preferred properties where it was a phone call. It was a
Hmm.
phone call, and this is Lorie from Carlson Boggling Travel. I have a client in Chicago. Do you have any rooms? And holding back some of that inventory to protect those relationships. I think in the long term, I think it really helps, the hotel become more profitable. The other thing too is I would say do not underestimate the importance of creating and maintaining an online social medium, a social media presence, because it's when I started in the industry, like before God was born, basically, um, we didn't, the internet was new and social media didn't really exist. And as, I've started teaching, and, my doctoral degree my dissertation was on teaching with social media. And I've just sort of embraced it more and more. And now we're looking at AI. I really think that it's an important piece of the puzzle for any hotelier, any brand. So making sure that each outlet, which has its own individual personality, believe it or not,
Hmm.
Instagram does, Facebook does, Twitter, TikTok. I think that really having someone in the driver's seat on that, sort of driving the bus, and making sure that all of the messages about the brand get out, and that people, the customers, the clients feel embraced through social media. I think you can push a lot of revenue that way too.
Now, what are some of the things that, because I know travel agents, they take particular locations or particular hotels and they market the hell out of them. Like they push it, push it, push it because they have a set contract with that particular hotel. Like what are some of the things that hotels can do to develop that relationship with the travel agency so they can get on their radar, so to speak?
Oh, that's a great question. Some of the things we did were fam trips.
Mhm.
It really, and this as being a numbers guy in the hotel industry, it really doesn't cost a lot of money to bring agents in for a night or two and just
Mm.
let them explore and experience the property. Or I remember one time I flew my entire staff to Jamaica, and we one night at each Sandals resort, right?
Hmm.
And we got to just kind of sit around and feel, what it felt like, and, experience things that were happening in each area of Jamaica, which
Nice.
is so much easier to sell, because I know when I have a client sitting across from me and they're completely lost and they're just hoping that I put them in the right property, and they want it to be special and important. When I can say to a client, listen, I've been there,
Hmm.
I've been there, and you got to go to this restaurant, and, I'll call ahead and I'll ask if they put you in this section of the hotel, or while you're on the property, you need to do this, or it's really easy to get from the hotel here. When you know those things intimately, it makes it much better for everyone. But going back to your question, I think really hotels, in spite of everything that they're faced with right now, like I said, AI, social media, OTAs, all of that combined does not trump a relationship with a direct booking agent. When an agent feels as though they are confident in the brand, that if something goes wrong, they have someone they can call that will
Hmm.
fix the problem for their client, it's invaluable. They will book you forever. So, obviously the relationship is important. The other thing that I've seen sales reps do is, visit the agencies and bring in commission incentives, or run special programs, booking incentive programs. If you can book 100 rooms in 1 month, this is, you'll earn maybe a stay there or extra bonus 2% commission or something like that. So you can get real creative on the sales front too.
I like that. I like that a lot, especially with the promotions, because I see a lot of travel agents, they're doing more packages versus just like a night at the hotel or a week at the hotel. This way, like one, they make commission from each thing. It's not
Yeah.
just making commission from the hotel. And
Yes.
two, it's easier to sell, So I've been seeing that a lot.
But you know what? You bring up a good point about the agents that are booking through packages, and I think we need to spend a little bit of time talking about that.
Hmm.
I honestly believe that one of the main reasons why agencies book the packages is to protect their commissions. Be,
Mm.
and you and I have had this conversation before. It just so many things can happen between, a client walks in or they call on the phone and the agent books, the reservation. And then maybe the trip is a month later and then the client arrives at the hotel and stays at the property. Maybe they're there 3, 4 days. And then, as you know, the hotel doesn't conduct their audit until maybe 2 weeks later. And
Hmm.
then after the audit, then the check is cut and the commission is sent to the hotel. So from client contact to actually getting the commission check in their hand, a lot can happen in that period of time that can sometimes be unethical or even just be a mistake or misunderstanding. Changing your room type at the front desk, maybe changing your dates of travel. All of those things, can sort of shift sort of like that paradigm of the commission structure. So for those reasons, we find travel agents booking a lot of packages that include hotels and cars together because when there's a package, they know that they can count on that commission. And when you're working with a 10 to even 12, 13% profit margin on a commission, it's important.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially of I would assume that you want to go after the hotels that have bigger ticket items, like higher ADRs versus the little economy hotels that's out there that have lower ADRs. Um,
Sometimes and I think I told you this, we were talking the other day real briefly, and it depends on the property. I'm based down in Florida right now, working remotely for the university, but there we have, jet ski community, boating communities, fishing communities, and there's some really cool properties down here that are mom and pop intimate properties that have very cool launching, public launch or excuse me, private launch
mhm.
facilities. And if an agency knows about that or has visited that, that can really be sort of lucrative for them as well, as long as they can count on that commission. It's really important. It's an important piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely, absolutely. What about issues when it comes to commissions that has nothing to do with you? Because there's like two sides. There's like two sides to this story, right? There is you're gonna have that agency somebody like Pegasus or something like that, where you pay them and they pay the travel agency, and then you're gonna run into situations that Pegasus had messed up or the third party messed up. You know what I mean? So what do you do in those type of situations?
Well, as a travel agent, you mean, as an agency or?
Yeah, as a travel agent.
Yeah, well, you get frustrated first because, it's extra time that you've got to spend on tracking commissions and or you can hire a company. There are commission tracking companies out there.
Mhm.
There are specialized companies, software companies that, can troubleshoot some of that. But honestly, it's just, how can I say? It's it's real difficult to have to set down what you have to do in a normal day to chase commissions. And it can be frustrating. It can be impactful because we're not just talking about hotel commissions. We're also talking car commissions work that way too, right? So
Correct.
if you're spending or you even hire a dedicated person to chase commissions, then that 10% is now maybe 4, 3, 2%. And then you get to the point where you wonder, is it really worth it? And I think that's why, going back to, we're seeing a lot of agents just say, why don't we put that in a package for you? Because then they know that they're protected. And any deviation to that change has to come back through the agent, not necessarily directly. So it can really be tough. It can be real difficult to achieve any type of objective with those two products.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. How do you identify like the real travel agents compared versus like the fly-by nights? Like, because I look online and I'm looking at the metadata in a listing or one of my hotels and I'm like, I never heard of these people before. Like,
Oh,
where do these people come from? And they're the ones that are the most sneakiest,
right.
most deceptive, deceiving. Like they will take your rate and they will lower it by like 30 bucks, 40 bucks, 50 bucks just to get people to click on it. And by the time when you get to the end of their website at checkout, you don't realize that after fees and everything else, you'd be done paid more than if you just would have booked with the hotel directly. Like they are just so sneaky. Like it's just clickbait, you know?
Yeah. And they're out there. Yeah, they are out there. I still I still go back to, the brick and mortar days.
Yeah.
It's the agents that are well traveled. It's the agency that, has a very substantial presence online, whether it be, like I said, Instagram, whether it be Facebook, not so much TikTok from a business side, but even a LinkedIn page.
Hmm.
It's the agents, the travel agents that really have spent a lot of time building up a lot of, intellectual knowledge about, destinations, or the agents that have niches. They specialize in cruises or they specialize in the Caribbean or business travel or something like that. But I really, I like to caution people and I like to say before you pay in full for something
Hmm.
online, with just an online website, I'd really take the time to check them out to make sure, for ticketing purposes, are they a member of the Better Business Bureau? Do they have, whoops, excuse me, do they have like a standalone agency in a city? And that's not even so important because we have some of the best travel agents out there possible that are working remotely out of their homes. But it comes down to finding someone that you're comfortable with, finding someone that has specialized knowledge that wants to take the time to get to know you, that wants to know what you're looking for, what kind of traveler you are, and then someone that you can get a hold of in an emergency. We just had a lecture in class last semester on this. We were studying the tsunami of
Hmm.
2004, where, we had all these tourists in Thailand, and all of a sudden, a tsunami takes place. What is the hotelier's responsibility? What is the travel agent's responsibility? Having someone that you can call when something goes wrong and you don't know what to do, that I don't think you can put a price on it, honestly.
I agree. I agree. And you remind me of one more thing that I wanted to touch on is the travel insurance. Like, do you get a commission off of it? And two, do you recommend everyone get travel insurance when they travel outside of their country?
Great question. I believe we used to get commission, I think, immediately. It wasn't like a tour or cruise where the client travels and then comes back and then you get your commission later. I think for any type of product like that, I think it's commissionable up front. Do I recommend travel insurance? Absolutely recommend it. Absolutely. Especially if it's a high dollar amount, like a vacation to Europe. Covers medical, covers trip interruption, covers luggage. It just really can help in any type of emergency where you lost your passport or, you missed your next port of call on a ship or something like that. So I do. I highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, because I know it's like in certain places it's mandatory to at least offer it. Like you
Absolutely.
have to offer it or you can be penalized.
And
So,
you know, some of your best travel agencies they will have established relationships with those companies as well. And they'll make recommendations and they'll be able to say, there are a couple of travel insurance agents or travel insurance companies out there, but this is really the one that we prefer, and this is why.
mhm.
Your your travel agent is a like a plethora of information, and that's really what you want. You want someone that knows the hotel brands, can pick up the phone and troubleshoot problems for you, knows the type of traveler that you are, and really has a vested interest in representing you while you're traveling.
Wow. It's crazy. It's sometimes it seems like the travel agent has a little bit more of an advantage in the hotel in some situations. I remember we was talking about before how like the laws are so different for travel agents than they are for the actual hotel themselves, that there's certain things that travel agents could do that the hotel can't even do when it comes to displaying their rates.
Oh, very true. Very true. For a number of reasons. And, as you and I were talking about, different states have different laws and things that they can or cannot do. And those are real logistical things.
Hmm.
I, though, I go back to the travel agent that is very aware of those different disparities and understands what really is the bottom line, I think is really key in that.
Wow, wow. Is there anything hotels can do to get lower commissions? Can they be negotiated, or how would that work?
Oh, I believe so. I really do. I think honestly, if I owned a hotel or a hotel brand or just a conglomerate of hotels, one of the first things that I would be doing is I would be seeking out travel agencies or consortiums or like Carlson Wagonly Traveled. I think AAA was one at one time. I'm not sure if they are. American Express, these
Hmm.
larger companies that really represent much larger amounts of market share.
Hmm.
And and I would be creating relationships with them instantly because I know that their agencies and their agents are going to depend on my brand and they're going to steer customers my way. And honestly, if more hotels invested their time in strategies like this, they wouldn't have to spend 30% commission with OTAs.
Yeah, I used to get a ton of business from American Express, and it took like one phone call.
Yeah.
Our AAA, especially if you have a local AAA travel agency in your neighborhood, like it's just one meeting. I used to get a ton of business from them, and I used to pay them a lot of money in commission too.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to be underestimated. I mean, that their influence, they represent the masses. They really do. And we've seen more mom and pop travel agencies joining these larger organizations because they need the representation that they can't get at the mom and pop level, right?
Hmm.
So if you're a preferred vendor for an organization like that, you're now not just dealing with an agency that maybe books $1 million in hotel sales per year. You're dealing with a string of agencies that maybe book 300 million in a year.
Hmm.
And so, the trade-off is it's really beneficial to the hotelier.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, that's all the questions that I have for you today. Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, goodness. Well, Grand Valley State University, we have a hospitality and tourism management program, and we're on fire right now. We have 5 different areas of emphasis. One is hotels, and we love that. But Tuma L at gvsu.edu, and I'm very, very present on LinkedIn. So, yeah, hit me up if you have any questions or and need any help.
And thank you for joining us. This is Bruce Short in the Michael Jordan Hotel signing out. Hey, what's going on? It's Bruce Short, the Hotel Revenue Expert. I just want to take a quick second to thank you for watching this video. If you could just do us a big favor and just subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more videos like this, more information, great information about hotels. I'm also the author of the Hotel Revenue Bible. You can get that book on hotelrevenuebible.com. And we are here to answer all your questions. So if you have any questions, just shoot us a quick text at 321-321-2002. That's 321-321-2002. And you can book a revenue call. Go to hotelrevenuecall.com and we can answer any and all your questions. Just make an appointment with me. You'll do one-on-one with me. You'll be able to do one-on-one with me, and we could go ahead and get all your questions answered and see if you have any revenue issues that needs to be resolved. Talk to you soon. Thank you again. Hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate you.